नमोऽस्तुते देवी परमात्मने हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण। Sorry for the delay. So we are beginning with third chapter. We have completed two chapters of Bhagavad Gita from our unit number. Which unit is going on? Third unit is going on. Thank God. Everybody is alert. Which were the previous two units? Thank you. Please name them. Unit. I'm talking about unit, not chapter. First unit was? Which course you are attending, sir? Bhakti Shastri. Bhakti Shastri, the first unit was? Nectar of Instruction. Second? Ishopnishad. Third? Bhagavad Gita, first six chapter is the third unit. Fourth unit is Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 7 to 12. And fifth unit is chapter number 13 to 18. And then unit 6, which is last, is Nectar of Devotion. It's always good to call out the complete name. We have this habit calling KP, RSP, similarly NOI, NOD. But by the mercy of Guru, by the mercy of Krishna, there are so good names. Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Upadeshamrut, such a nice name. So I had to call NOI, NOD, Isho. Okay, so till now we have studied the content of Gita summarized, that is the second chapter, where we saw Krishna is talking about multiple things. Krishna is talking about, in the beginning, he's talking about Sankhya Yoga, then he's talking about Karma Yoga, then he's talking about Buddhi Yoga, and then he's talking also with Buddhi Yoga, he's talking about Bhakti Yoga. And through Sthita Pragyasya Ka Bhasha, he's indicating the qualities of a devotee, or how a devotee acts and how a devotee behaves, or who is a Sthita Pragya devotee. And then one who is a Sthita Pragya will attain what kind of destination? Param Karuna Prabhu. What destination a Sthita Pragya devotee will attain? We spoke about this in last class. Back to Godhead. He'll attain back to Godhead. Sahil Prabhu, what will he attain? He'll go to a spiritual sky. Esha Brahma Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vipmutya. That is the way of a spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man will not be bewildered. If one is thus situated even at an hour of death, one can enter into kingdom of God, that is back home, back to Godhead. So after all this discussion, now here Arjuna is going to talk about his sannyas. Arjuna already previously said that better I take sannyas, better I renounce from everything. I don't want to get into this clutter. I don't want to get sin. I don't want to lose my own people. So many things. He had put so many arguments, and then he was saying, better I take a begging bowl, and I take a danda, I take a kamandalu, and I'll take sannyas. I don't want this kshatriya dharma. I don't want this fight. So he's going to continue similar kind of question. Now he already heard about two things. He heard about Jnana Yoga and he had heard about Karma Yoga. And because he heard about Jnana Yoga and Karma Yoga, he has his understanding of Jnana Yoga. What is your understanding of Jnana Yoga? What do you think? What is Jnana Yoga? Jnana Yoga or Jnana Yoga, whatever you say. Any one of you know what is Jnana Yoga? Anyone would like to speculate? Here I am not talking about Krishna conscious perspective of jnana. I am talking, see, there is Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. These are the four prominent yogas which are discussed and described, practiced all over in our Vedic culture. So, what is Jnana Yoga?
Acquiring knowledge for one's own benefit can be said. Development, benefit, or for surviving in this material world.
No, that is not yoga. Survive, yoga does not mean surviving in this material world. We are talking about yoga, that is connecting yourself with God. Yes, Prathameshwar. Yes, connecting to the God through knowledge. Karma is what? Karma yoga is what? Connecting through performance of right karma yoga. And what are the two types of karma yoga? Sakama karma and Nishkama karma yoga. In that, one who attains the Nishkama karma yoga will attain a perfection. We also discussed before also that Nishkama karma yoga and Bhakti yoga, there is no much difference. Nishkama karma is also telling you about not being attached to the fruits of the results, not being attached to the fruits, and not considering yourself the doer of that activity. Karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. And third important thing is that you are not the doer. Sorry, first is that perform the work, you cannot escape from the work. Second is offer the result of that work. And third thing is that you are not the doer of that activity. You are not the doer of that particular work. So when somebody is saying this, he is practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga. So when somebody is practicing Nishkama Karma Yoga, he will attain God, he will attain Krishna. But then Nishkama Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, what is the difference? We have discussed about it. In Karma Yoga, Krishna is not the center. Nishkam Karma, Krishna is not the center. Then whom you are offering results of? You are, there is this common sentence written now, फल की अपेक्षा मत कर, कर्म कर, फल की अपेक्षा मत कर. That is not Karma Yoga, na? फल की अपेक्षा नहीं करना मतलब you are offering that fruits to someone. So who is that someone? It is God, Krishna. It is Supreme Personality of Godhead. You don't offer it to anywhere. ऐसा हवा में फेंक दिया हो गया अर्बन. There is this story which comes, no? In Satya Yuga, people used to go and offer everything to God. Then in Treta Yuga, people used to make a circle and then throw everything on the top. And whatever is to fall in the circle, that belongs to God. And whatever falls outside is that person's. Then later on, they started making a line. And then they used to throw whatever falls on that side is for Krishna, and whatever falls on this side is mine. So maximum is to fall on this side, and then less it. And then in Kali Yuga, people throw in the air, whatever falls down is mine. Whatever Krishna can catch in the air, that is his. So, ऐसा नहीं है ना, offer the result. To whom I don't know. So that is the Supreme Krishna. Then only yoga can be established, na? Always remember, yoga means union with God, connection with God. So there has to be a connection with Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, it is not yoga. So, what was the discussion? What was the question? So I was talking about Nishkama Karma Yoga. So Nishkam Karma and Bhakti Yoga, what is the difference? Yes, Rishi Vishwamitra Prabhu? Achha. Yes, bro.
Nishkam Karma Yoga means activities done without anything in return for those activities. I mean, whatever.
I am asking difference between Nishkama Karma and Bhakti Yoga.
There is no love in
Mataji?
Nishkam Karma towards God.
See, whenever you establish a relationship, like you have a wife or husband in a relationship, what you do, you go and you work hard, whatever money comes, you give it to her. And you go and do purchasing for her. You go and clean the house, clean the pot, do this, all one, two, three. And while doing all these things, you are saying, I am offering all the results. I am not considering myself doer. I am not the doer of this activity. Fine. And then I will continue doing this. That is Nishkama Karma Yoga. But when you do this out of love, means there is a loving relationship, there is a rasa being exchanged. It gives more special flavor. And then Bhakti Yoga gives that flavor, right? Vaman Rupru, what is Bhakti Yoga? So that Bhakti Rasa is that particular rasa which can be released only in Bhakti Yoga. That is not released in Karma Yoga or Jnana Yoga or even in Ashtanga Yoga. And that's why Bhakti Yoga stands different. Bhakti Yoga becomes special. Because in Bhakti Yoga, that rasa, so we know there are 11 kinds of rasa. Out of that, 5 rasas are prominent rasas. Which are those 5 prominent rasas, Rishi Vishwamitra Prabhu? Go from down. Directly don't jump to Madhurya. Go in sequence. Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakhyaras, Vatsalya, and then Madhurya. Madhurya is topmost. So these are the 5 rasas, and which are the 6 secondary rasas? They are the 5 primary rasas and then 6 secondary rasas. Have you heard ever? Okay, we are going to study this in NOD. 6 second rasa. There is Vibhatsa, there is Raudra. No, Shanta is already done here. Shanta is primary ras. Vibhatsa, Raudra, Hasya, Virya, Bhaya, and one more. So there are these 6 secondary rasas, which are, so these kind of rasas are exchanged in Bhakti Yoga. So here also you are remembering God, offering the results, all these activities are doing. But here the prominence of rasa is more. Prominence of that particular loving exchanges is more. That's why when Brajavasis, when they were seeing Krishna, they knew Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But their love, their prominence of being father, mother, or prominence of being lover, prominence of being friend was so dominant that they were not saying that, they were not thinking that Krishna is that Supreme Lord. So obviously, don't jump to that level. Don't think that today onwards मैं Krishna का, and then you put a hand on the shoulder of Vrindavan Chandra and then click a selfie. You are not going to do anything like that. Anyways, so why I was saying this? Because Jnana Yoga is to be understood. So we studied about Karma Yoga now, Sakama Karma and Nishkama Karma. We also tried understanding what is Bhakti Yoga. What is Jnana Yoga? So Jnana Yoga is acquiring knowledge to connect yourself with God. So when you are acquiring knowledge, is from various things. So basically, this Jnana Yoga is acquire knowledge from Vedas, Vedanta Sutras, or through Nyaya or this Shad Darshana. They try to understand this knowledge from Shad Darshan. So while doing this, the very prominent thing is to take sannyas, or those who are Jnana Yogis should renounce this material world and completely stay aloof from sense gratification. That means control over the senses is the most prominent thing. So Arjuna is thinking, this is what I have decided. I'll control my senses. I'll renounce this world. I don't want kingdom. I don't want anything. I'll renounce this world. And that's what you spoke. Krishna, you spoke about Jnana Yoga. So in this content of Gita summarized, the second chapter, Krishna is talking about Karma, Jnana, Ashtanga, Bhakti, Buddhi, all yogas he's talking about. So Arjuna is picking up that particular thing. So he's telling that you spoke about both. I know you spoke about Karma Yoga also, that I have to perform my duty, which is Karma. But you also spoke about Jnana. And when you spoke about Jnana, I think that is more important. And that's why better I follow Jnana Yoga. So please suggest me what is best for me. And this is how the third chapter begins. So this is Arjuna's inquiry that I think Jnana is more important, but you suggest me what is important. You correct me if I am wrong. And this is how humbly Arjuna is asking this question in the third chapter of. The chapter title is Karma Yoga. Arjuna Uvacha Jayasi Chet Karmanaste Mata Buddhir Janardana Taktim Karmani Ghore Maniyo Jayasi Keshava. Arjuna said, O Janardhana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? If you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work. So what is intelligence means? Jnana Yoga. What is fruitive work means Karma Yoga. So Arjuna has not completely accepted or understood Karma Yoga as a Nishkama Karma Yoga. Arjuna is accepting this as a Sakama Karma Yoga, and that's why this fruity work is the exact word which is used. So Sakama, that means with a kamana, with a desire, with fruits. That is Sakama Karma Yoga. So Arjuna is saying that Sakama Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. But I think Jnana Yoga is much easier and better than Sakama Karma Yoga. So he is trying to get into renounce order. He is trying to stay away from this war. You are asking something? Somebody raised hand? Sorry, yes.
My question was that एक योग वगैरे जे आहे ना ते सगळं येतं पण त्याच्या आधी पण एक स्टेज असते where Krishna is not disappeared. What is that called?
Karma Kand. We are going to study Yoga Ladder by the end of this third chapter, so you will understand more better about all these things. Okay. So, O Janardhana, O Keshava, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that the intelligence is better than fruity work? So, before that, let's understand the sections of this chapter. Please note down. First, 1 and 2 are the questions of Arjuna. Confusion between renunciation and action. Paman Rupu, I am going to ask all these sections. Confusion between renunciation and action or action. Verse number 3 to 9. This is better. How Sahil is making notes. This will help you when you are reading Bhagavad Gita. That blank paper will help you. Verse number 3 to 9. Nishkama Karma Yoga is better for Arjuna than Jnana Yoga. So Arjuna is still putting his argument that Nishkama Karma Yoga. Krishna is telling no. Krishna is immediately answering his question and saying that no, Nishkama Karma Yoga is better than Jnana Yoga. So this is from 3rd to 9. Krishna is answering this. Then verse number 10 to 16, everybody is clear? 3 to 9, Nishkama Karma Yoga is better. That is what the answer of Krishna. This particular verse 10 to 16 is from Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. So Krishna is now going to talk about there are people who worship demigods, or there are people who do follow Vedic culture or Vedic pujas only for attaining something, for sense gratification. So Karma Kanda to Karma Yoga. Then verse number 17 to 35 is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Verse number 17 to 35, Nishkama Karma Yoga to set right example. (17 to 35) Nishkama Karma Yoga to set right example. So Krishna is talking about Janaka Maharaj here, how Janak Maharaj was a perfect king and also a good devotee. And then he performed Karma Yoga, Nishkama Karma Yoga so sincerely. And then he is telling about Yad Yad Acharati Sreshta Tattasteve Tarojana, that the common people will follow those who are Sreshta. And then verse number 36 to 43 is conquering lust, the greatest enemy. So every chapter Krishna's agenda is clear. He has to speak about this thing. Conquering lust, the greatest enemy. Okay, so from verse number 10 we will study about Yoga Ladder. Please remind me if I forget. Okay. Please somebody read the purport. Take mic. Adinath, please read purport.
तुझे प्रसाद घेतोय मी.
Yes.
the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, Sri Krishna, has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in this previous chapter with a view to delivering his intimate friend Arjuna from the ocean of a material grief, and the path of the realization has been recommended Buddhi Yoga or Krishna consciousness. Sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia, and one of the with such a misunderstanding often withdraw to a scheduled place to become fully Krishna consciousness by chanting the holy name of the Lord Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of a Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of a Krishna in a scheduled place where one may acquire only cheap adoration from the innocent public. Arjuna also thought of a Krishna consciousness or Buddhi Yoga or intelligence in the spiritual advancement of a knowledge as something like retirement from active life and the practice of penance and austerity at the scheduled place. In the other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuses. But as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained Karma Yoga or work in the Krishna consciousness in this third chapter.
So, in the previous chapter, chapter number 2, Krishna is talking about avaram karma. In one of the verse, Krishna is talking about avaram karma. Avaram means those activities, those actions which are forbidden. One should not perform a forbidden action. So Arjuna is being very selective. Whenever our teacher is teaching, we are very selective of accepting something. Like if joke is spoken, then we just remember the joke. Now everybody will remain that whatever is thrown up is Krishna's and whatever is on the ground is mine. But then whatever is spoken about Nishkama Karma Yoga and Buddhi Yoga is all complicated. Nahi bhai, nahi chahiye. So Krishna is also being Arjuna is also being very intelligent. And he picked up this particular word, avaram karma. Yeah, we are going to see in the 4th chapter beginning also, Arjuna is again speaking the same thing. He says, Ghora karma. You spoke about Ghora karma. I don't want to get into Ghora karma. So Arjuna is saying that this is avaram karma you spoke in the previous verse, which is forbidden action. So better I don't get into action, I forbid. I will not do any action, and then all these actions of killing people are avaram karma, they are forbidden activities. But you also spoke about renunciation. You also spoke about acquiring knowledge and renunciation. I feel that is better. And that's why Arjuna is trying to run away from, escape this particular battle by giving this particular excuse. We also do give this excuse while studying, while performing our job. We say, Prabhuji, why should I study? It is all Maya. Better I chant the holy name. So Prabhupada is talking that thing only, that people give this excuse that better I practice Krishna consciousness, better I chant the holy name. It's all Maya. Nowadays this particular understanding is coming in devotee boys also. So why should I get married, Prabhuji? That is all Maya. Better I stay alone in the home, I'll earn some money, I'll do something. So this kind of runaway, escapism is not accepted. And then Krishna is going to immediately answer the question after this second verse. Verse number 2. Vyami shreyaneva vakyena buddhim mohaya sivame. Tadekam vad nishchitam yena shreyo hamapurayam. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instruction. So Arjuna is being so intelligent. He's saying, your instruction seems to be very equal. They're equivocal. So my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instruction. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be the most beneficial for me. So, very humbly is asking, please tell me what is better for me. So, this is how we should approach and ask. That's very important. We go and tell that these are the two things and I have chosen this. That's not the right thing. So, what we can study from Bhagavad Gita? Everything. The communication skill also can be learned from Bhagavad Gita. I received few calls and messages today saying that I'm not coming to the class. So I have been always telling that we should ask whether I can miss this class or not. So that's my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instruction, and therefore please tell me decisively which will be more beneficial. Last few lines of the purport. Although Krishna had no intention of confusing Arjuna by any jugglery of words, Arjuna could not follow the process of Krishna consciousness either by inertia or by active service. In other words, by his question, he is clearing the path of Krishna consciousness for all students who are seriously wanting to understand the mystery of Bhagavad Gita. So, Arjuna is asking this question for whom? For all of us, to understand the mystery of Bhagavad Gita and remove all the confusion. Yes.
Either by inertia or by active service.
Krishna had no intention of confusing Arjuna by any word jugglery. Arjuna could not follow a process of Krishna consciousness either by inertia or by active services. So, either by inertia, Prabhupada in previous verse is also talking about this inertia in the purport. Prabhupada is saying that sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia. So basically, it is inertia is about quitting or quitting the material enjoyment, sense gratification. So suddenly, abruptly, living from that particular thing, that is to be understood Krishna consciousness. But no, Krishna consciousness is not like that. So either by inertia or by actively service. So it's again same thing, renunciation or karma yoga. It is about jnana, that is renunciation, or about karma yoga. So neither by these two things, it is to be followed systematically. And that's why Arjuna is removing all our confusion by asking this question, whether renunciation or work, what is to be chosen. In that also, mainly Krishna is going to elaborate about Nishkama Karma Yoga. Krishna is not going to talk about Sakama Karma Yoga, which is also a thought of Arjuna. Whenever it is a Nishkama Karma Yoga, there is no fruitive results attached to it. Whenever it is Sakama Karma Yoga, there are always a fruitive results to it. And then those fruitive results are what? Papa and Punya. So Sakama Yoga brings Papa and Punya. Nishkama does not bring Papa and Punya. Why? Because it is Nishkama, without any Kamana. Another thing, it is done completely for the pleasure of Lord. It is not done for your own pleasure. So that is a very important thing to understand. Same thing again. Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is very close. The Buddhi Yoga is all about Krishna conscious knowledge, and that's why that Buddhi Yoga is. See, Jnana Yoga and Buddhi Yoga is different. Jnana Yoga is knowledge about everything from the Vedas, and that's why Jnana Yogi gets confused. They don't come to a conclusion, right conclusion. They sometimes understand Krishna or Param Satya as Brahman. They sometimes understand Param Satya as Paramatma or Bhagwan. Or even that also they may get confused, and it is a long process. But Buddhi Yoga is not like that. Buddhi Yoga is about Buddhi refers to a Krishna conscious knowledge. So Buddhi Yoga is quite close to Bhakti Yoga, but again, same like as I said about Nishkama Karma Yoga, it is not a Bhakti Yoga completely. Many places, Prabhupada will also, you will find translating Buddhi Yoga as Bhakti Yoga, because it's almost similar. But then again, there is this rasa factor is missing. Okay? Good question. Verse number 3. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Lokesmin Dvividha Nishta
लोकेस्मिन् द्विविधा निष्ठा
Nishta Pura Prokta Mayanagha
पुरा प्रोक्ता मया नघ
Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam
ज्ञानयोगेन साङ्ख्यानां
Karma Yogena Yoginam.
कर्मयोगेन योगिनाम्.
So, Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O sinless Arjuna, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self." So आत्म साक्षात्कार के दो लोग होते हैं. Who are these? Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation, that is Jnana Yoga, and others by devotional service. So Karma Yoga here Prabhupada is translating as a devotional service. Nishkama Karma Yoga, Prabhupada is translating as a devotional service, and that's why it is a Nishkama Karma Yoga. Prabhupada, Krishna is directly talking about Nishkama Karma Yoga. Krishna is not talking about Sakama Karma Yoga, which is fruitive results. Okay? I hope you are getting, understanding what is happening. You are here. Empirical philosophical speculation is Jnana Yoga, but that means philosophical speculation is understanding of the, it's all knowledge. It's not only particular specific knowledge. It's about like overall understanding. That is empirical, empirical philosophical speculation. And that's why, because of this philosophical speculation, people get confused. They don't come to a conclusion because they keep on speculating. And Jnana Yoga that is the special flavor Jnana Yogis have. They get a lot of flavor. And those who are right speculators, they are called Muni or Rushi. Those who are speculating, but then that speculation is correct. That is speculation is according to scriptures, Guru, Sadhu. That speculation is towards Krishna. Then they are called as a Rushi or Muni. Otherwise, Prabhupada talks about dry speculator. Those Tarkavadis, useless Tarkavadis or Manasik Tarkavadis, Prabhupada says. So that is condemned by Prabhupada a lot. But yeah, so speculation means, that's what I'm saying. They are following Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. When they are following Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, in that, taking the reference or taking a benefit, taking a support of this particular thing, you can always speculate. In the sense, you can try to understand that matter more better way. Like if something is presented in front of you, some particular philosophical point, you try to think over it, try to understand, ask question, inquire, find out, or you use your brain. Many times we do that. And then while doing that, you take a support of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And those who take shelter of these three things or support of these three things, they are Muni, they are called Munis. So all these Rishis and Munis who are famous, they are like that. Another important thing for those Rishis and Muni, the speculation or that speculative knowledge has connection with God. Many times this Jnana Yogi, they go on speculating about some knowledge which is avidya. Always remember, Veda has two parts. One is Vidya and second is Avidya. The Vidya part talks about realization. Vidya refers to Vijnana. There is Jnana and Vijnana. Vijnana मतलब पता है आपको क्या होता है? Science. So science, when it becomes science, when the Jnana becomes Vijnana, when you practice, then you go to a laboratory, then you have heard that this particular experiment I have to do, and this is the theory of that experiment. But then when you perform that experiment, you get the conclusion. That conclusion is Vijnana. That is realization. So unless and until you thoroughly understand the knowledge, put it into the practice and get the realization, the process is not complete. So whenever you are studying Vedic knowledge, it should be Jnana transforming into Vijnana. That's very important. So that is a part of Vidya. Vidya में क्या होता है? ज्ञान का विज्ञान में ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन होता है. Knowledge transform into a realization. That is Vidya part. The Avidya part is just to be performed. It is mainly talking about the material nature, Avidya part. How to deal with material nature and how to take benefits of this particular knowledge so that we perform better in this material nature. For what? For maintaining this body and soul together. So Avidya is all about, Vastu Shastra, Ayurveda, or Khagola Shastra, or so many other things. So that is all a part of Avidya. Basically, in our current terms, it is law and it is engineering, it is arts, it is science, scientific knowledge, it is medical science. All this part is all knowledge is the part of Vedas. It is not something which has randomly come into existence. It is a part of Vedas, but that's a part of Avidya. So many times these speculative people who are trying to understand God, because they are Jnana Yogis, they are trying to understand God. They get captured into these flowery words of Vedas. That's why Prabhupada translates the Vedas as a flowery words of it. Why flowery? Because they appear to be very alluring. Like I know one devotee who was so much interested in studying about cow. He got into cowpathy, got into medicine, making medicines through cow products, understanding cow. He forgot that cow is dear to Krishna, and he got so much into cow. He forgot Govinda, and he got so much into cows and understanding about cows. So similarly, this happens with these jnanis who are into a speculation and who are basically a dry speculator. They forget the main purpose, and then they go on speculating with varieties of. You will find so many people, they're interested in Ayurveda and they get into detailed study of Ayurveda, or there are so many people are interested in astrology, but they are so much into it that they forget the Ayurveda comes from Dhanvarti, which is the avatar Vishnu. They forget that this particular knowledge has come from Krishna, and then this is to be used in Krishna service, and then they get into all speculations of that particular thing. So that's why Jnana Yoga is a very tedious and long process, because they don't come to a conclusion that Vedesya Sarver Aham Eva Vedyo. What does that mean? Yeah, I'm the source of Vedas. All the Vedas come from me, or to a very directly understanding that I am to be known from the Vedas. The Vedesya Sarver, from all the Vedas, what is to be understood is me, that is Krishna, that is Supreme Personality of Godhead. But unfortunately, that is forgotten. And that's why the speculation, if it is not in a right direction, it gets into a dry speculation, it gets into a wrong direction, and it misleads you. And that's why Jnana Yoga is a very tedious, long process which will take years, lifetimes together to come to conclusion. And after coming to conclusion, he has to go ahead. Jnana Yoga is not everything. He has to climb the stairs. Okay. Can you get marker and duster? Let's study about yoga ladder. दाखवलं होतं का? ठीक आहे, anyway, sit, then it is understood ना. नाही. So these chapters are going to be little philosophical. Don't get tired. Maintain the enthusiasm. If you are maintaining the enthusiasm, you will relish it a lot. I relish it a lot. I am teaching this. This is the seventh time I am teaching this particular chapter. So I relish it more. Bring it here. एक काम कर, याच्यात व्हॉट्सअप आहे का? आपण प्रोजेक्ट करू. Anyways, my teaching style is not projector and slides. I always teach like this. Camera jada highlight. Okay. So we are going to study about the ladder. Hare Krishna. So in the ladder, the bottom part, which is not a part of ladder, is a life which we were living before. That is animalistic life. So in this animalistic life, the goal was only sense gratification. Okay? Then you go ahead. In this, again, this is not a part of yoga ladder, what I am making here. So this is Karma Kand. So in this Karma Kand, many times it is appearing that a person is devotional. In Karma Kand, it is appeared that a person who is follower of Karma Kanda He is performing yajna, puja, dana, tapasya, and then people think that he is a devotional man, he is a dharmic person, he is spiritual, but then that is not all in all, that is nothing in fact. So in karma kanda all kind of activities are performed again to gain fruitive results, for sense gratification. The purpose is only sense gratification. Then they climb ahead. There comes a karma yoga. In karma yoga there are two things. Okay, which are the two things in karma yoga? So after karma kanda comes sakama karma yoga. Here person knows that I have to perform this action, whatever action I am performing is to be offered to God. But then he is not completely offering it to God. And that's why the process of yoga starts, because he is trying to connect himself with God. In karma kanda there is no connection with the God. There is only a attachment to senses. There is gratification of the senses. But in sakama karma yoga, that person is offering few results to Krishna, not everything. Like a person goes to a temple hall, takes out his pocket, and finds out exactly sawa rupaya and puts it into the hundi. So when he is offering that particular thing, he is forgetting that he has 500 and 100 and 220 notes inside his pocket, which he is not offering. इसलिए many times you in lecture you must have heard na, Krishna sees what exactly is there in your pocket, not what you offered. So that is sakama karma yoga, who is always keeping his own quota, his own things. Like he's somebody who is drawing a line, or he's somebody who is throwing in the air. If Krishna can catch. If whatever falls down is mine. But Nishkama Karma Yoga is not like that. And that's why in second chapter we already saw the definition of Nishkama Karma Yoga. What is the verse? What is the verse? I quoted already 2-3 times in today's class also. In second chapter you have studied. Karmane adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala hetustu. Again, what is the head? Mahate sangostupi jayate. So, mahate sangostupi karmani. So, karmane adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. There are three important things. Always remember. Please tell Vaman Rupu what is the definition of Nishkama Karma Yoga. Mataji?
When you do any activity without any attachment to the results and keeping Krishna in center.
Okay, you are not attached to the results, you are offering those results to Krishna and Krishna is the center. Okay, that is only one thing. There are two more things.
Not being attached to not doing that.
Not being attached to not doing that activity. That is, akarma is not accepted. That means you cannot run away from that action. You have to perform that action. It's very simple. Whenever you are performing any activity, हम लोग क्या करते हैं? You go to temple hall and perform kirtan. Expect कि ना मेरा कुछ नाम पे वो glories हो और बाद में end में मुझे प्रभु जी प्रसाद का पैकेट लाके देंगे. So we are performing that activity. This is just an example in our devotional service. So our Mamundu performs without any expectation. So he's always performing a Nishkama Karma. So anyway, so you are keeping kamana, you are keeping desire for all these things. So, but then somebody the next day you come for a kirtan and then Prabhuji is not there. There is nobody in the temple hall. Only you are there. So there is nobody to glorify. There is nobody to give prasad. Then next we will think whether I should go or not. Better I don't go. So similarly, whenever you are offering results to Krishna, one thing is you have to offer results to Krishna. Second thing, please remember this. The second criteria of Karma Yoga is not considering yourself the doer of that activities. You are not the karta. So these two things, you are not the doer and you are not going to get the result. लोग क्या बोलेंगे? आपने किया भी नहीं है, आपको फल भी नहीं मिलने वाला है. So immediate reaction is, why should I perform that activity? And that's why Krishna is saying, that akarma is not allowed. You cannot run away from performing that activity. You cannot say that I will not perform this activity. And this is all these three things makes Nishkama Karma Yoga complete. Which are the three things? One thing, not considering yourself the karta, offering the results, and not to give up the work, not to give up action. That is Karma Yoga or Nishkama Karma. So this is what happens in Nishkama Karma Yoga. And yoga means connection to God. So everything is offered to Krishna, not to our favorite God, Devi, Durga, Shiva, Ganapati. it's only to Krishna. Okay. By the way, I have told this before also. Whenever it comes to a bhakti or yoga, this is to be used only for Krishna. Bhakti is not a word for any other demigod. Forget about Desha, Rajya Bhakti, Rashtra Bhakti, Desha Bhakti. There is no concept of bhakti like that. It's all speculation. After Karma Yoga comes Jnana Yoga. So we are just trying to understand what is this Jnana Yoga, because this is a prominent Arjuna's demand, Arjuna's question. So Jnana Yoga talks about what all things? What are the requirements of Jnana Yoga? What is expected from a Jnana Yogi? Study Vedas. What else? Anything else is expected? That comes in the study. Anything else is expected from Jnani? Jnana Yogi. Huh? Teaching? I told already. The Jnana Yogis don't preach. They are trying to just speculate and gain the knowledge. It's very difficult for them to preach. And whatever they preach is all Maya. So, controlling the senses or renunciation is the most important thing expected from a Jnani. The first thing expected from a Jnani is to control senses. And those controlling senses are not like that, तो ये भगवान को भोग लगा पिज्जा भी चल जाएगा, noodles भी चल जाएगा. Or there is something called herbal cigar and herbal tea, herbal coffee. So nothing like that. Decaffeinated coffee. Nowadays, devotees are so much interested. So study of the Vedas and complete restriction, completely controlling your senses, that is renunciation. They have to completely become detached from this world. And that's why when we are going to study three definitions of karma, that is akarma, vikarma and sakarma. So while studying this, the akarma is very nicely explained by Krishna there. Krishna is saying, and another important thing, that through renunciation they follow akarma. The literal meaning of akarma is giving up action, which is not possible for anyone and everyone. In fact, it is not possible for everyone, because some kind of actions we'll always perform. We walk on the street, we talk to people, we eat. Nannies don't stop that. They continue. So while doing that particular activity, they are going to get some sinful reaction for that particular thing. Right? So they cannot avoid it, but they think that akarma is best. So they always try to avoid action. They renounce and study scriptures, study Vedas or speculate. After Jnana Yoga comes the next ladder, that is Ashtanga Yoga. So Ashtanga Yoga has 8 anga. Which are those? Yama, Niyama, Asana, एक minute. Before pranayam comes pratyahar. Okay. Yama, niyama, asana, pratyahara, pranayam, then dhyana, dharana, and samadhi. So these are the 8 angas. So he has to climb. Any person who's trying to go through the ladder, he has to give up the animalistic lifestyle, then give up the karma kanda, then perform karma yoga properly. After performing karma yoga, he has to study scriptures and climb the ladder of Jnana yoga. After that, he has to go and perform Ashtanga yoga. So Ashtanga yoga is yama, niyama, do's and don'ts. Then comes asana, the asanas, Padmasana, these, that, different asanas. Then pratyahar, prohibited activities completely to be avoided. Then comes pranayam, that controlling your air within your body. There are 6 kinds of air in your body, and upana, apana, udhana. So there are 6 kinds of vayu or air in your body. It's to be controlled. Then after controlling, you focus, dhyana. Here, if he is not having a knowledge about the absolute truth as Supreme Personality of Godhead, the dhyana is on Brahman, or sometimes the dhyana is on Paramatma, and maximum time Ashtanga yogis have dhyana on Paramatma. So they focus on Paramatma, they focus on or maybe Brahman, or they focus on Krishna. Then comes dharana. Dharana means bringing him in the heart, and comes samadhi, that completely meditation of that particular form or that particular part of absolute truth. Right? Yes. Yeah, he has to. Otherwise, that is not complete. He has to go through yama, niyama, asana, pratyahar, pranayam, dhyana, dharana, and samadhi is the topmost. So samadhi is the one which is, he is completely focused. He does not get diverted, deviated. He is completely focused on that particular thing. And that is the last thing. That is samadhi. So if the samadhi is right, if samadhi is on Krishna, then comes the last thing is bhakti yoga. So he has to go through all these things. So how many months it will take for you if you have to practice this ladder? Oh, days, I'm sorry. Hours? Yeah. So it will take at least 100 to 1000 lifetimes to go through this ladder. And in that also, if something comes in between, some Menaka, Rishi Vishwamitra knows what all things can come in between. So that can really divert. But then the benefit of being connected to Krishna consciousness, being connected to Prabhupada, being connected to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and whatever pious activities you have performed in the last life, and whatever mercy you have received, prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rastu pajayate prasanna chaitana hasu. So whatever mercy, yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, yasya prasadat nakuti kutopi. So only by the mercy we are here, always remember. And that mercy is what? What kind of mercy? That mercy is called what? Causeless mercy. That mercy is causeless. There is no cause. You cannot find out. I must have given this much donation to someone and that's why. We should always think that I was a dog in last life and I got to eat prasad of the uchishta of a devotee. That is a causeless mercy and that's why I am here. Maybe other animal also. Okay. So the benefit is that we were here, animalistic life. But then we got a lift. You must have said, "Mujhko bhi to lift kara de." And then Krishna immediately lifted you to Bhakti Yoga. So because of this lift, because of the mercy of Krishna, we don't have to climb up the stairs. We could immediately go to Bhakti Yoga, and then we are able to practice, we are getting a chance to practice Bhakti Yoga. But while practicing this Bhakti Yoga, we have to be very cautious. That's very important. See, attaining Krishna is not easy thing. Many times we sing, people say Radhe, Govinda, Krishna, and then we say, Gopinath, Sham Sundar, Pandharinath, whatever. And then we think, Krishna is next to me. I have attained Krishna. But attaining Krishna is not easy. It's very difficult. Why? Because while practicing Bhakti Yoga, you may be connecting yourself with God, you may be offering results, but then somewhere there is a sakama karma, there is kamana. So we get stuck up because we cannot avoid karma yoga. You are performing action and action is performed for God. But then if you are keeping that for yourself, if we're not offering completely to Guru and Gauranga, if we're not offering to Krishna, then we are stuck up somewhere in Sakama Karma. Subsidy khela hai na? So when you reach at 99, that snake eats you and then you fall down at second. It is something like that. You are already somewhere, you are practicing something high, but then we are keeping kamana. We are keeping a desire to enjoy this material world. We are somewhere in karma kanda or sakama karma. That's very dangerous. Another dangerous thing, people get stuck up in jnana. Many times, even after getting a very proper knowledge of Bhakti Shastras, or all the scriptures, many times people keep on speculating and their speculation leads to something else. That their speculation gets diverted from Krishna. I gave the example of this cow, devotee who loves cow and who are trying to understand cow. Or another devotee I knew who was trying to understand Ayurveda and he got so much carried away in the Ayurveda. Now that's part of jnana. But he got so much carried away with that he forgot ultimate goal, that is Krishna. And that's why while practicing Bhakti Yoga, there may be this kind of fall downs also. And they are much more serious fall downs than any anarthas. So we have to be extremely cautious. Let Mayavad does not enter, let Brahmavad does not enter in our heart, let Paramatmavad also does not enter in our heart. For us, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Let Krishna enters in our heart completely. Let Krishna be the object of our, we are going to study the first verse of Nectar of Devotion. The first title is that of who is the object of your worship. That is Krishna. Krishna is the object of our worship. So we should keep this in mind. And while doing this, we should be extremely careful. Sometimes, people are just focused on yama, niyama, pratyahara. These three things. Do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts in Krishna consciousness. Things to be forbidden, things to be avoided. They don't go ahead. They don't think about Bhakti Yoga, chanting the holy name. They don't speak about other part of Bhakti Yoga, dive deep into Bhakti Yoga. Still, people are just speaking. So they are just here somewhere stuck up in Ashtanga Yoga. So while practicing Krishna consciousness, we have to be very careful. Every step there is danger and we have to be extremely careful while practicing Krishna consciousness. Okay? Any question on Yoga Ladder?
Haribol. Is there an example from Shastras of a person who has gone through the ladder, reached Bhakti Yoga? A person maybe.
In the mercy of Vashishta and after associating with Lord Ram, he developed that pure devotion and that's why he attained Rama. But then he went on performing a lot of tapasyas, attaining knowledge because he was a king, Kaushika. And then from there when he wanted to go ahead and ahead, he started studying knowledge, starting gaining scriptures and started performing Ashtanga Yoga. So Vishwamitra is a good example for that. King Kaushik, yes.
Roshi, at the beginning you told that difference between Bhakti Yoga and Nishkan Karma Yoga. So you said somewhere on the line that we are doing something on the Nishkan Karma, right? We have not got that rasa when we are doing. So do we have to go through this Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga to get to Bhakti Yoga?
See, when I said that we are performing Nishkama Karma Yoga, in that also we have understanding of one thing. We have not understood that our original position in spiritual world. So we cannot speculate a rasa. We cannot say that I am Krishna's friend and then I'll have a rasa like Krishna's friend. But we know one thing very surely. Our form, our Swarupa is Das. Jivera Swarupa is Krishna Nitya Das. So that particular rasa of servant of Krishna is always there. That relation is established and that relationship we have to maintain. Naham vipro nacha narapati napi vaishyo na shudro naham varni nacha grahapatir yo vanasto gatirva. Kintu prodhyan akhila parnamrutabhir gopir bhartur padakamalayur dasa dasa dasanudas. So we always remember this gopir bhartur padakamalayur dasa dasanudas. But before that there are 8 things which are I am not, he is saying. Naham vipro nachanarapati napi vaishyo na shudro. Neither I am a brahmana, neither kshatriya, neither vaishya, neither shudra. Neither I am a grahastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi or brahmachari. Who I am? I am servant of Gopi's lotus feet. This is the prayer. So, keeping this in mind, we are attaining Krishna. As soon as we try to bring that I am this, out of this varna and ashrama, we will end up somewhere here. And we will try to do something, some activities, especially about Sakama Karma. or Nishkama Karma. So that's why it makes you separate. So if other rasas are not developed, other relationships are not developed, your relationship with Krishna as Das is developed, a servant. So that is developed. Okay?
बुद्धी योगा कुठे आहे?
See, this particular phase, na, Ashtanga Yoga to Bhakti Yoga is Buddhi Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. Ashtanga Yogi who is attained the Samadhi, na, if he is focusing on Supreme Personality of Godhead, there itself he is attained a Bhakti. That is also another important thing. But unfortunately, because Jnana diverts him and maximum time Jnana Yoga takes you to the understanding of Brahman, that's why Ashtanga Yogi meditates on some light. Ashtanga Yoga try to capture that particular light in the heart, and that's why they meditate on Brahman, or sometimes they meditate on Paramatma. But if the Ashtanga Yogi has the knowledge, he is following these 8 angas and always focusing on Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that means he has attained a bhakti. After Dhyana Dharana Samadhi, he has attained bhakti, that is for sure. So this particular transition of Ashtanga to bhakti is Buddhi Yoga. See, Buddhi Yoga is not a separate thing. It's not, Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga is almost similar. And that's why that is not separately mentioned, Buddhi Yoga. Because Buddhi Yoga is always about Krishna conscious knowledge. It is not Jnana Yoga. It is Krishna consciousness. This is what misunderstood. Many times Buddhi Yoga is misunderstood to be Jnana Yoga. But no, Buddhi Yoga is about Krishna conscious knowledge. And that's why Krishna is multiple times using this word Buddhi Yoga in verses. Yes.
Can we say like this, like a person, or for example, a devotee only, let's take example of devotee, because his goal is Krishna.
Hmm.
So he is going through this process, he wants to attain Bhakti Yoga. But the thing is that he is somewhere in between, Ashtanga Yoga sort of thing. Because for daily this thing, he is practicing Yam also, Niyam also, Pranayam also he is doing to some extent.
To some extent, nahi. Everything is performed with perfection here. Yama, Niyama, Pratyahara is also performed with perfection. That's what I said now. Huh? Breathing is not pranayam. Pranayam is, many things are there, part of a pranayam. And the main important goal of a pranayam is that these 6 vayus are controlled. With your breathing, will you control all 6 vayus in your body? So pranayam controls all 6 vayus in your body. That's the perfection of pranayam. So?
No, I thought that then most of us are, can we be situated in that?
No. We are not. It's very tough. Practicing Ashtanga is not a joke. We will not sit on chairs like this. Asana. Huh? We are there. See, if you are following Nectar of Devotion properly, you are there. If you are attending morning program sincerely and performing the activity of morning program, you are practicing Bhakti Yoga completely. There are 64 angas of Bhakti Yoga. Out of 64 angas, 53 angas are performed in mornings, 4:30 to 9 o'clock. 53. So that's why we should attend morning program daily. The conclusion of Bhakti Shastri. आप लोग बोलेंगे conclusion of the class. The Bhakti Shastri is concluded. Okay, so we'll stop here. There are many other things to do in today. But then, any other question, please think about this. Yoga ladder is very important to understand. If you understand the yoga ladder, you will understand what Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita. If you don't understand yoga ladder, you will not understand what is Bhagavad Gita. These 6 chapters are dedicated to Karma Yoga. 4th chapter also Arjuna is again trying to bring Jnana. 5th chapter talks about Jnana, but Krishna concludes with Karma. So this is how these whole 6 chapters are mainly dedicated to Karma Yoga. Last 6 chapters are mainly dedicated to Jnana Yoga. And then middle 6 chapters are dedicated to Bhakti Yoga. And that's why if you remember in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita course, I quoted this example. That you get a jewelry box with the upper lid and the bottom part of the jewelry box is nice gold. It's studded with nice rubies and diamonds and motis and everything. and then inside there is a very, very precious diamond. So what will you prefer, the precious diamond, the outside box? So we'll obviously prefer a diamond which is 1,000 times better than this lead and the bottom part. So the below part is Karma Yoga, upper lead is Jnana Yoga, and then in between what is there is Bhakti Yoga, which is very, very precious. This is what Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. This example is given by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Okay, we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
I hope this is recorded. Please give it to those who could not hear. This is important. It has a photo.